Hi, I'm going to read you one of my favorite books from when I was little, very young, and it's called Fritzie Goes Home, and I hope you love it as much as I do. Fritzie Goes Home. Now take a look at the illustration on the front cover. Maybe you can guess who Fritzie is. That's right, Fritzie is the dog. Does the dog look happy? I don't think the dog looks happy. I wonder why. Let's read the book and find out. Fritzie Goes Home. Copyrighted in 1974. I told you this was an old book that belonged to me. Fritzie lived in a cozy red house with his family. Fritzie loved the house. He loved the kitchen where he ate his breakfast and supper and treats. He loved the living room where the sun shone in great warm patches. He loved the yard where he played all day, and he loved the hall where he slept every night on a fat fur rug. He was very happy. But one day everything changed. The kitchen was full of big brown boxes. The living room furniture was all huddled around the sofa. Grrr! Fritzie grumbled and went outside. "Mark! Jennifer!" called Mother. "The moving van is on its way now. You and Father take Fritz on ahead to the new house." Mark picked up Fritzie and took him to the car. Father started the motor. "Goodbye, house," Father said a little sadly as the car moved away. "Goodbye, house," said Jennifer and Mark. "Goodbye. We'll miss you." Fritzie whined, wondering why they must leave their nice, familiar home. Father drove past the river. He drove through the city. He drove on a long, busy freeway, and all the way Fritzie sat with his chin on Mark's lap, longing for the little red house and the big backyard. At last they reached the new house. It stood tall and yellow at the end of the walk. Oh. Hi, Remy. Remy likes the story too, because it's about a dog. Remy, can I finish the story? At last they reached the new house. It stood tall and yellow at the end of the walk. "Come on, Fritz!" Mark and Jennifer raced ahead. Inside, the house was big and cold. Jennifer and Mark ran up and down the long, high stairway. Fritzie ran after them, but the stairs were steep and hard for him to climb. He sat on the landing halfway up, and there he stayed, smelling the strange, damp, empty smell. In the afternoon, the moving van came. In and out the moving men went, bringing furniture and boxes. When they had brought in everything that had lived in the little red house, Mother said, "At last! Now it feels like home, with all our things here." But not to Fritz. He did not like the tall yellow house, with the big strange rooms and the stairs that were too hard to climb. When the movers left, he slipped out the door after them and started off down the street. He wanted to be in the little red house, curled up on his fur rug, or out chasing squirrels in his own backyard. He hated the new house. He wanted to go home. The more Fritz thought about the little red house, the more he hurried. He didn't stop to visit with the people in the city. He didn't see the sky growing dark. He didn't even notice that his paws were getting sore from the rough cement walks. He only knew that each step was taking him closer to home. He raced around the last corner, down the block, and up the walk, and there he stopped. The red house was dark. The front door was tightly shut, and suddenly Fritz felt the shivery chill in the night air. He ran around to the backyard. He put his paws high on the back door and pushed hard. The door flew open and Fritz went in. The kitchen cupboards gaped open. The dining room was dark. The fireplace was black and cold. The floors were bare and had a lonely, dusty smell. Fritz walked all through the house. It was silent and empty. There were no clothes in the closets or shoes to play with. There were no curtains at the windows to keep out the night. "Woof, woof," called Fritzie frantically, and the sound echoed through the empty rooms. "Nobody's here, nobody's here, nobody's here." Suddenly, more than he had ever wanted the little red house, Fritzie wanted his family. He wanted Mark and Jennifer and Mother and Father. Oh, poor Fritzie. "Woof, woof," he called again. Then Fritzie ran out the door, and in the middle of the night, off he started once more on the long walk. A wind swept along the city streets, and he huddled close to the buildings to keep warm. When he reached the highway, there was no longer any shelter. The wind blew back his ears and whipped his tail, but the moon shone bright and seemed to say, "Keep going, little dog. It's not much farther. Keep going, little dog. You're almost there." With the first glow of morning, Fritzie turned off the highway and into a shady street. At the end of the street stood the tall, yellow house. Fritzie began to run. He ran across the street and bounded up the walk. "Woof!" he barked at the door of the tall, yellow house. "Woof! Woof!" "Fritzie!" exclaimed Jennifer. "Fritz!" shouted Mark. "Fritz!" said Father as he flung open the door. "Oh, Fritz!" cried Mother, scooping him up in her arms. "Oh, Fritzie, you're back! We looked everywhere for you." Then she carried him into the kitchen and gently set him down beside his blue dish full of food and his silver pan shimmering with cool water. Fritzie sniffed and licked Mark and Jennifer and Mother and Father in turn. He wagged his tail so hard that he wriggled clear up to his head. He ran all the way up the long, steep stairs and all the way down again. He found the closets and the shoes and his own fur rug. Then he went back to the kitchen. He sighed with satisfaction and began to eat. Fritzie knew that this was his home. So at first Fritzie didn't like the new house, the yellow house, and he missed his old house. But what do you think happened when he went back to the little red house? And then when he came all the way back to the new house that had all of his family and all of his things and his special fur rug, I think he was happy. And maybe he realized that it doesn't matter where you live as long as you have the people that love you. The end.